Now in the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, we can see that Nintendo really is going for a dark setting. And I mean, it is something they mentioned before, so it shouldn't really surprise you, to be honest. However, one thing I wondered about while watching the trailer is, what happened to the people of Hyrule? Where did they go? You don't really see anyone in the trailer, and the world was basically set on fire by Ganon. So did they just disappear? Did they flee? Are they hiding somewhere? Well, let's look into it all in order to find out what could have happened. Hey, psst! Be sure to check out wily.gg if you're in the market for any games, and use code WILY to get 5% off. Now let's continue with the video. Alright, let's first look at who would suffer the most if Ganondorf launched a full-scale attack on Hyrule. Now obviously any Hylians would be pretty much doomed. They all live in simple villages or even stables. So really, they would most likely get taken out as soon as Ganondorf's army floods across Hyrule, because the small amount of defenders they would have would never be enough after all. So the people from Hateno village and places like Lurlin would most likely flee or seek shelter somewhere else. But what about the Sheikah? Well, they could actually defend themselves, especially because Kakariko village is on a mountaintop, which would actually give them an advantage when they are on the defensive. But I don't expect them to hold on forever. And so at some point they would have to do something as well. And the same goes for the people in Gerudo Town and Zora's Domain. Both of them could hold out for a bit and would have some things going for them, but not enough that they could sit it out or fight their way to freedom like the men from Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings. Now personally, I would say the only race that stood a chance was the Gorons. Death Mountain would give them the high ground and a great place to defend, which really isn't just a meme from Star Wars. In warfare, the high ground has massive advantages, like a wider field of view, terrain that is hard to deal with for the enemy, and it allows for interesting traps like rolling boulders down the hill. And then they have another amazing advantage due to the volcano, the extreme heat. All of this would allow them to hold out basically forever. However, sadly enough, there's one thing that kind of screwed them over. The malice that is coming from the underground that is spewing out of Death Mountain. And so, they would also be doomed. And yes, even the Rito, who can fly and live on a rock that can be isolated from the rest of the world by destroying a couple of bridges, wouldn't last. The constant harassment of Ganon's foes would take its toll, and they can't keep flying forever to completely stay out of reach. And I mean, we can also see in a new trailer that there are new flying enemies, and those wouldn't leave the Rito alone. So, with basically every race, town, or group in the game not being able to hold out forever, where did they go? And what happened to them? Well, when it comes to the Gorons, it could very well be that all of them are gone due to the Malice volcano erupting. So for now, let's focus on the others. When it comes to what happened to the people, I think there are two possible answers. Now obviously, many of them died. But what did the survivors do? Well, in the trailer, during what looks like the dark era of the game, we can see these towers with some sort of sets or stage lights around them, illuminating everything in the surrounding area. And in the trailer, we can also see that Link goes into some sort of small room where he triggers some sort of Sheikah defense system. These claws will quickly grab you while this arm has some sort of rope on it and will probably tie you up. And on the sides of the walls, you can see special wards that use magic to keep evil out. Well, that's at least what they are known for. Now personally, I think this little scene takes place in one of these towers, especially if I look at the surroundings. So to me, it's quite clear that these places with the light and the fences are some sort of retreat for the people of Hyrule, a place they can run to be safe from the horrors outside. And I bet the Sheikahs actually built them. Now I bet it had to be a bit of a rush job, but they needed to do something to save Hylians, Gerudos, and others. And they are the only group that can use and build stuff using the ancient Sheikah technology. So it must have been them. Maybe they even used the Sheikah parts that can be found around the world, from broken down guardians, destroyed shrines, and rubble from the fallen towers. And it could even be that the platform Link stands on in the trailer goes down. So maybe there are also underground cave systems where people can hide away from the evil above. Now when it comes to that last bit, I actually got the idea idea from Bombus Medallion on Twitter. However, there's a problem with it, in my opinion. While these towers could have underground caves where they can store more people, equipment, and food, it is also the one place where Ganondorf's forces have been hiding all these years. It is clear that Ganondorf has been doing stuff in the cave networks below Hyrule, so it might not be the best idea to connect the towers to that. However, this isn't the only option for what could have happened to the people of Hyrule. There is another one, and for this one, I have to give credit to a Twitter user once again, because my boy Bombus Medallion made a great post where he translated the text that is seen on the blue pad. It says transport, which is actually only seen in the Divine Beasts and not anywhere else when it comes to the Sheikah technology. So it could be that the people of Hyrule actually decided to use the Divine Beasts as temporary homes while the world was in ruins, which does make sense, because a lot of them are close to some huge population hubs, which would allow them to save races like the Gerudos, Goron, Sora, and Rito quite easily, but also incredibly fast. And as we all know from freeing the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild, all of them have defense systems, so Ganondorf would have a hard time taking them over. Well, unless he pulls the same trick as Calamity Ganon. But I assume that won't happen. And sure, it might be a plot hole, but sometimes we have to ignore this, because Nintendo isn't the best at this stuff. I mean, the timeline itself is also a bit of a mess, so their track record isn't perfect. However, aside from that, it could very well be that this is the strategy of the people of Hyrule. And the cool thing is, Nintendo was already playing around with this idea. In some of the concept art and scrapped ideas, you can see different Divine Beast designs, and it looks like people are actually living on them, so Nintendo might use this idea in Tears of the Kingdom. You gotta remember that the new game will use a lot of scrapped concepts after all. However, personally, I think there's a good chance we will get a combination of both the Divine Beasts and Sheikah Towers. The other 4 races of Hyrule will use the Divine Beasts because that's by far the best solution for them, and would for example allow the Gorons to survive the whole Malus volcano thing, while the Sheikahs and Hylians will most likely use the towers as a safe haven, while Hyrule is turning into hell. But who knows what will happen? In the trailer we can still see that there are some Hylians roaming Hyrule. Near the end of the trailer we can see that one of them set up a camp, and so some of them are still brave enough to go outside. But it could also be that they sometimes are forced to do so. They need food, resources, and other things after all, so maybe this person is a scavenger, looking for stuff to support his or her people, almost as if it's a post-apocalyptic game. But in the end, we will only know what really happens when the game comes out. But for now, I got other videos you can check out, like this one on the story of the game, or that one about the enemies. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think this is gonna be my last Tears of the Kingdom video for a bit, because those were all my good ideas. I might do one a little bit later on, but still, I hope you enjoyed it. Check out those other ones, subscribe, click the bell button, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one. Yes? Okay, bye. Now I'm gonna do another voiceover. Bye-bye.